Hey guys, good morning. This is Dr. Rob, the addiction doctor, in your face this morning with either Breaking Through Addiction, if you're the old guys, or the addiction doctor, if you just joined us, which we changed the name to. All the platforms we're on. We're going live right now on Facebook and YouTube. So good morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you are today. As usual, my co-host Jennifer Lovely. How are we doing, Jen?
Doing really, really well, actually, considering I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but I'm doing awesome.
You was woken up at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, just popped right out of bed. So here I am. I have a busy day. I have a busy day. You have a busy day. We're seeing clients today. It's back to back, shaking and moving, healing and loving, and all that good stuff. Excited about it.
Living the dream instead of dreaming a living. That's what we're doing. Awesome.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm so excited to have Mark on. I stalked him for a while. I actually heard him. I was on a panel with changing the ways around addiction. And I was like, I love this guy. So I looked him up on Facebook and then got his phone number and stalked him for a while so he would be on our show. So I'm super excited about having him.
I love it.
And then we had the most amazing conversation. Just boom, like how we do it. It's how we connect. I think that's the thing that's missing in the world today is being able to connect that way.
It is, definitely. Can you see that spot on my shirt there? You see that? What the fuck's that about? Get off there. Shit. I use Head and Shoulders and everything.
Oh, well, you better clean up, dude.
I know. It's unbelievable. Joe Rogan, good morning. Good to see you. Let's not fuck around, Joe. You know you want me and I know I want you. So let's do this deal. Good to see you. Thanks for joining the show and watching. As usual, we have an amazing guest on today. Mark's on the show today. It's going to be fantastic. Before we get there, let me tell you about Living Recovery Interventions. Recovery begins today. Recovery begins together. Give the gift of recovery. Travis is a good friend of ours. Travis is an interventionist, but he has a bunch of experience throughout the platform. We're talking about a guy who went from a Xanax seizure to a car crash at under 20 miles an hour. 120 miles an hour. So this guy knows what he's talking about. He's been there. Just like everybody else that sponsors the show, you can't pay for this shit. You got to earn it. If a loved one is troubling, call Travis, guys. 801-573-4188 or livingrecoveryinterventions.com. Remember, guys, recovery begins today. Recovery begins together. 801-573-4188. Travis is the man.
Yeah. You know what else? Funny as shit. He is so funny. He cracks me up.
Have you seen some of his TikTok stuff? Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. He's making Jay look like fucking cartoon characters. No, so we're going to have to get this shit together. Hey, guys, Mark's on the show. Stick around for a minute, and we'll be right back after this. Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Dr. Rob, the addiction doctor, along with Jennifer Lovely, my co-host. This is Breaking Through Addiction. If you're used to joining us live on Facebook and 65 platforms, or as today, it's the Addiction Doctor, renamed on all the platforms. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, Jen. And Mark Landholm's on the show. Good morning, Mark. How are you doing?
Are you there? Oh.
Hey, everybody. Good morning. Happy Monday from California.
We lost you for a second.
We thought you'd done a runner.
No.
Photograph up there and gone like, what's these idiots? What's these idiots now? Oh, big photograph there.
No. You're not my PO. I got no reason to leave.
Go on, Jen.
So I'm just going to dive right in a little deep with you, Mark, because that's kind of how we started our relationship. We just went right to it. So I believe that we are all unique experiences in the history of the universe. Can you tell me what makes you unique?
I have a spectacular ability to hide the truth and make it look like something else. And that was a bonus from growing up in a family where everything that you were told, everything you learned how to do to survive that environment, none of it worked as soon as you left the front door and went out to the real world. So it was a shock to the system about how fraudulent some of the stuff at home was. You know, if you don't look at it, it'll go away. If you don't talk about it, it didn't happen. You tell somebody, you get more of that. all that stuff. And I'm not whining. There's a way to say some of the dysfunctional truth without blame and shame. You know, I don't cook anybody because they couldn't do better. I'll do better because I don't want to do what we were doing. And I'm funny. I want to tell you that humor has rescued me more times than I can count. Prison yard, jail, living under a bridge in the 80s. That historical value that the rearview mirror has for us to look at as a place not to go back to, but necessary. You know, you drive a car, you don't stare in the rearview mirror, but you need it once in a while to remember what, where, when, who, how. So the short answer is I make a living making fun of insanity. And that most comedians would tell you that they have two things in common. There's a layer of depression and there's a layer of narcissism. So I got that in droves at home growing up. I learned examples of that how to be funny as a false, right? Funny used to be a shield. Now it's a shelter. And a lot of recovery lanes have turned out to be very useful once you get to know what the tool's for. Humor's a scalpel. You want to be a slasher or you want to be a surgeon. It's never the scalpel's fault. So 32 years later, I get to use comedy for a living, and it's a huge passion. But I'm not funny all day. I mean, it's what 7 something in the morning here. I'm on my second cup of coffee. I'll be as funny as my coffee cup lets me be at this point in time.
I know that feeling. Absolutely. I lived under a bridge as well in the 80s. Let's go back there. Talk to me about that, and then let's get into the solution and what it's all about. But I just want to, for the people listening and watching, just qualify that under the bridge. That's a rough living. Yeah.
The what part is the rough living? I missed the first part there.
Living under the bridge. I lived under the bridge in the 80s, but how did you end up there? How did that all happen?
Well, let's say in early 80s, I had left a thriving drug dealer business because I ended up to be the only customer I had left, and because the nature of what it is, addicted to, obsessed with, distracted by. I like to tell people that I'm working with that are newer, inpatients, inmates, soldiers, veterans, pregnant mothers in a shelter, kids caught in a crossfire. I'll tell them, listen, there's 3 things we're working on here today: the bag, the bottle, and the behavior. There's the bag, the bottle, and the behavior. All 3 of those put me under a bridge in Oakland, California, my hometown in the 80s. 120 pounds, shake and bake, look and cook, tweak and peek, thump and bump street guy. And the best I could do was try to stay out of my own way. You know, I was no tough guy. I've been in thousands of fights. I've lost most of them. And what I kept finding out was the losses got more severe and the fights were shorter. So I was running out of game as a 20-something-year-old. That's a significant statement, right? At 61 years old now, I get to tell you that I've survived a lot of my own thinking. But that bridge life was simple, but harsh.
Yeah, that is harsh. And I love how you express it. And one of the things that impressed me, I know how I look. It may look like I like things to be pretend, but I really like no bullshit. And one of the things that I loved about our conversation, Mark, is that you said to me, well, I mean, I'm sure your codependency got your 2 kids into the 16 rehabs that they were in. But we were in the middle of a conversation, but you said that in a way that it was like, yeah, absolutely. And I really think that is something that is missing somewhere in our recovery, because I believe that everybody needs recovery personally, maybe not from alcohol, but from dysfunction. How do you address that with families? How do you address that with loved ones?
And that's a great question, and it comes from a place of knowledge. I heard humility there, because you could have taken that and cracked me right across the noggin with it.
Oh, totally.
What'd you call me? How dare you? You know what I mean? We don't learn to take ownership of very much in the dysfunctional track. And dysfunctional means it doesn't work. It ain't personal. It's not working. If I called you a busted down radiator, you'd have to check your water level or where the leaks are. Or you could just say, no, I'm not, and try to drive the car into the desert.
Right.
Well, simplistic view is I can take this personally. Ouch. What'd you say? Or look at it truthfully. Oh, wait, what'd you say? So those are the two things I'll tell the codependent families. And the analogy I'll use is cancer. I've never found a better word for addiction than cancer. Cancer has 4 stages. Addiction has 4 stages. Use it, abuse it, lose it, and repeat. Use it all, abuse it all, lose it all, and repeat as soon as possible. And repeat, cancer is terminal. Repeat, relapse is terminal. So I kind of break it down for the families like it's nobody's fault, but it's all of our responsibility. You got a cancer patient in your family. You now have a cancer family. What's your part? You're going to throw, let's say lung cancer for basic simplicity. Lung cancer, you're going to throw that person more cigarettes because they asked you and you love them and they're crying at your front door? Or are you going to take away their ability to hurt themselves one more minute?
Yeah.
I like that. That's
now that's easy to say because my kid's 13 and he's a good kid right now. But I struggle with the codependency part where his mom and I are divorced, which is she's got 25 years clean. I got what I got. We're really good parents, and we discovered early in the divorce that actually we got an annulment. That's the Catholic version of the lemon law. You just turn it back in, right? But we discovered that there are no ex-kids in a divorce. You know, we're not separating that. There's no percentage of a child. So we're still married to that kid and the passion behind raising him as a healthier adult. I wouldn't wish my childhood on a cellmate I hated. But I can show him different ways because I talk to Rob and I talk to Jennifer and I talk to people in recovery and I get 100 answers and I get more options than the ones in my rear view mirror. You know, how to yell when you're upset, how to slap because we love that kid. None of those worked, but everybody did them. So the dysfunction is what works, what doesn't work. I don't take it personally. I'll look at it truthfully. But recently, a couple of weeks ago, I had to pull his chain a little bit and take away some electronics. And between you and I and a million people listening right now, it crushed me.
Yeah.
To take away an iPad, it crushed me. So that's what kind of game I don't have as a strong, tough, cement ball sack dad, right?
It takes a lot. I remember going back home after our marriage, split up, and I've lost everything just before homelessness. And my mum and dad said you can stay there. And my dad threw me out one night because I was drinking in the house. It was 12 o'clock at night. He came upstairs and said, "You got to go, son." This is a man that very quiet. You can't really speak to him. You can't give him Christmas presents in front of him. He's too embarrassed. But he came into the bedroom and he said, "You got to go, son." And he took me downstairs. I had a little carry bag, little sack full of clothes. He gave me £20 and he closed the door. And it was pouring down. It was about, 10 degrees. I slept in a bus shelter that night and I hated that man for years and years and years. Many years later, I sat with my mom and we're having coffee at the house in the evening and dad's gone to the bar. And we got talking about that night. And I said, "Oh, yeah, I remember that night. I've never forgiven my dad for that, you know, Mom." And this is what she said to me, Mark, and I'm sure you can relate to this. She says, "In 55 years of being married to your father, that's the only time I saw him cry." And I thought, shit. And that saved my life, which brings me on to the fact that I've worked with a bunch of comedians who did really well for himself. And there's a lot of laughter and they're all funny guys. But when they go back home and they close the door, that's when the depression, that's when the addiction, that's when the self-harm come in. Talk to me about that side of the life that nobody sees.
Shakespeare said, "All the world's a stage." Well, I'm not a big Shakespeare guy. I'm more of a Dr. Seuss kid, you know. Shakespeare's great for a late night date with your mate, but Dr. Seuss, a little juice really cut you loose kind of thing. I'll play that with some people. I don't think the whole world's a stage. I mean, great metaphor. But if I'm working, let's say comedy club, theater, straight stand-up, right? What do I do with the other 23 hours to be authentic? What do I do about that stuff that's stuck in my chest like a footlocker in basic training where I'm not allowed to let that stuff out? You can't go on stage. I mean, you can, but it's counterproductive to the job to go on stage and say, "Hey, listen, I just want to start by telling you, emotionally, I'm about a 2. I had a tragedy recently and my depression's kicking in, and I really don't care if you guys listen. In fact, I'm going to do a 4-minute Mitch Hedberg set and walk off the planet." I don't do that because that's not the job. But I don't want to be false either. Your dad, that story about your dad, two things. One is, if he maybe had better teaching about being able to cry more than once in 55 years of being married. We cry because we're full. That's it. I tell groups, we cry because we're full. Rage, sad, hurt. We cry because we're full. So you want to stay full, you carry around extra weight and baggage and all that stuff. And we hand it to our kids like he handed it to you. We don't cry, we don't feel, we don't emote, we don't tell. We end up being kicked out with a small bag and 20 pounds. So that goes on. However, the being kicked out there, here's the part I will explain to a cancer family addiction. That guy did something for you you couldn't do for you. He drew a fucking boundary. That's why we hate him.
Yeah.
You're doing for me what I can't do. I'm whatever age and you're still raising me like I'm a pup. That's ego there. And listen, you're the clinicians. I never graduated from anything except county, and I got no letters after my name. I got a license, but it's to drive in California. That's all I got. So, but you know that there's names for that stuff. Joke here just for what it's done for me. I'm a CE provider in the United States, which is a grandfather name because I've been doing this a long time. So interventionists and therapists, and I work for the AVA, and I get to people get CEs or CMEs for the AMA just from listening to me. It's crazy. I shouldn't be able to do that. I was a prison guy. So one of the jokes I'll do for the interventionists, like you guys will get this. Some normal people listening won't today. They won't get this joke, but that makes me giggle. I like when some of it's just for us. So normal people, most people, average people, they'll look at a high school yearbook and go, hey, there I am. That's me right there. And 2 pages, hey, that's me again. I'm on 6 pages of this book. For me, that's the DSM-5.
Yes. Totally. I totally get that. Yes.
Yeah. Broken, right?
Yes.
But that humor, that not having to hide the humor, but not letting it hide me either. Rob, that's what I'm sure you referred to, is that, it's not like that invisible cloak Harry Potter had one year in a movie where I get to hide behind that so no one can see me. People get to see what is authentic. And that's why when Jennifer, you were talking about the first conversation we had on the phone, I think it was like 4 hours.
I know.
Probably seemed like that to you. I got 2 ex-wives that'll tell you more words from me ain't all that great, man. But it was the authenticity, like the no BS. We don't have layers like a veneer to shield people. We've got some protection skills. Like I don't get my feelings hurt near as quickly as I did before because I stopped hurting my feelings.
Yes.
So that humor's a great tool. It's the hammer. Do you want to use a hammer to build a fence for the puppy so it doesn't run out of the yard and get run over? Or do you want to use it to put into somebody's skull because it's a great weapon when somebody's not looking? The hammer's never at fault, but I want to use hammer, that humor better. I want to use it to build. I want to use it to highlight hurt in a corporate show. I live in Silicon Valley. So I get to do a lot of corporate stuff that's not recovery based, but there's a recovery thread in there. Talk about resentments and healing. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I really love that. And one of the things that I really loved, Mark, was that you talked about going to rehabs and, getting into, as we step into like the rehabs and recovery today. And one of the reasons that I reached out with Dr. Rob, by the way, we've never actually met in person. That's our big secret.
Well, it's not our biggest, but don't go there.
Oh, okay. You got all right. You mean the two of you? You're like Bernie Taupin and Elton John. Go.
Yeah, totally.
We're different parts of the world, but we're a great team. Go ahead.
Right. So, anyways, so one of the reasons I reached out was because he was talking about recovery in a different way. And when I spoke to you, you were talking to people in recovery in a different way. It wasn't this corporate show, we're, using all this, language, if you will, corporate therapized language. You were really speaking to people from the heart. And so let's talk about what is preventing some of these places, rehabs, addiction. The pandemic is addiction. What's preventing us from healing? What is the thing that's in our way?
They don't want to get sued. They don't want to get sued. They want the insurance to pay the fucking bill. So money and fear run the rehab culture in essence, just like they run politics in the United States, just like they run, it's, I want to say something about addiction for people who are on the fringe. You mentioned Joe Rogan, Rob. Joe is one of those guys, he can do what he wants to chemically and he thrives, right? I'm not one of those guys. I ain't one of those guys that tells you weed is bad or opiates are terrible or booze will kill you. I don't say that. I know they do that to me. I'm at risk. When I use chemical instead of truthful, helpful, or spiritual, I suffer and you pay. That's it. Preach, reach, and teach. That ain't my gig. But I will tell you what happens if you're one of us. If you're one of the leopards instead of the lions, you pay because your spots are gone. Now you're visible to the chemical world that says, hey, guess what? I'm using you now. You're not using drugs. I'm using you, and I can't afford that. So, all that to say this: that authenticity. I get hired to speak to people for the same reason I don't get hired. I don't have much of a filter, and I'm not talking about First Amendment where I get to verbally vomit on you. You just clean it up yourself. I'm talking about freedom of speech, the ability to say, hey, you don't like what's going on. I got shortcuts for you. If you want to manage it yourself, see how that goes. And in 2 years, if you're still around, come back and see me. If I'm still around, if I'm not that false prophet telling you to do something I'm not doing, you won't see me either. We'll both be dead because we couldn't treat the cancer because we wouldn't be responsible for the behavior. Bag and bottle is easy to stop. The bag and bottle. I can show you how to start. I can show you how to stay stopped.
Yeah.
And the behavior has a lot to do with that. So humor is one of the things that raises trust. It raises truth, and it lowers shame at the same time. Humor does that. So I'll tell people that I'm working for, people who are very vanilla, PCPG, and they'll say, "You're not going to use adult language, are you?" And I'll go, "Yeah, plenty. You hired me. Here's what I'm going to do. Let me do my job." Words like 401k, grandparenting skills, retirement. Ownership of self, boundaries, prostate exam. These are adult languages, right? So I can do all that without offending people because humor highlights hurt. It illuminates illness. That's what it does. So if I'm not funny today and you're listening to this, I'm not funny. It's not because I'm not funny. It's because you're broken. Own it.
Yeah, there's a difference there, isn't there? Definitely a difference. Guys, this is the Addiction Doctor. Used to be breaking through addiction. Mark's on the show. We'll be right back after this break. Hey guys, welcome back. This is Dr. Rod, the Addiction Doctor. Welcome to the Addiction Doctor. Jennifer Lovely, Mark's on the show as well. Having a great talk. Welcome if you just joined us, guys. Thank you for joining us every Wednesday. We're going to be out there doing what we do best, and we're going to record during the week as well, which is absolutely awesome. So one of the great things I like about what I do today is, one, I don't answer to nobody. Two, I don't believe in the traditional 1930s and 40s treatment. And three, I use everyday language. So if somebody comes to me and goes, Dr. Rob, can you tell me categorically why the hypothalamus? No, listen, you carry on drinking and using and you're one of us, you're going to fucking die. What else do you need to know? What else do you need to know? And I love that. And the Texas board doesn't like that. I've had more complaints. God, I don't know. I've had about 23 complaints in the last fucking 12 years that I've been here. So I don't know, 2 a year, maybe. That's not bad going. What's the best part of your job, Mark? What's the best part of what you do every day when you get up? What gives you a sense of well-being when you go to bed at nighttime?
Oh man, passion is the thing to that's the motor, right? And the vehicle is humor. and some experience, to be fair. I mean, I didn't get here because I'm cute or because I'm rich or because I'm fun to listen to. I got here because I got some experience, right? That 1930s treatment you were talking about, I got to use a lot of newer language for people who have an archaic framework to come from. You know, the 1935 Dr. Bob and Bill W., that I get it. But that was a bunch of old white males. I mean, how far have we come? They still got a chapter in the big book called To the Wives. What the fuck? Really? Some of that stuff needs to be modernized, right? So that language that you use and the complaints you get, Sam Kinison said, it's not getting everybody in the room to like you. It's getting a small percentage that fucking love you. And that's the secret. I've learned more from comedians than I have from audiences. Jay Leno said, write faster than people can steal from you, man. You're funny. I said, well, thank you. David Brenner said, take care of your back. You're going to sit in planes and cars and stuff. You're going to take care of your back. Seinfeld said, hey, you know, if you have to curse, the joke is not finished. George Carlin said, fuck Seinfeld. So everybody has a take on it. My take is when I get up in the morning, that passion, I want to save somebody some time. I've got a brand, Shortcuts. The show, the products, all the stuff you can find on the website that's crawling along the bottom there of the screen. Shortcuts. It's not less work. It's not less responsibility. Let me save you some time. Shortcut. Grateful never relapses. Shortcut. The argument you win is the one you don't enter. Shortcut. Whatever you thought about most yesterday, that was your God or your guide yesterday. Shortcut. You got to keep it a secret. Don't do it. Shortcut. Hashtag be first. If there isn't any in the room, maybe you were supposed to provide it. You don't see some out there, be some out there. Peace, grace, hope, forgiving. If you don't see it in the world, be it in the world. That's why I get out of bed. I got two jobs. I want to save some people some time that are newer, bluer, older, bolder. The people that are struggling with this, I don't understand the cancer I have. I'm going to try to figure it out one more day. I'm going to use logic. Hypothalamus, that word killed me. You know why? That's not a word you generally hear in a crack house. Our experience isn't, you know, things you never hear in a crack house. Did anybody lose a 20? Right? You never hear, no, after you. Right? But hypothalamus, that killed me. That's a 25-cent word from a guy who probably made the most of those 20 pounds. His dad handed him in a sack and says, hey, kid, you got to go. That's what we do. I get to make boundaries for people who either can't do it for themselves, and then they get to choose. And Ms. Lovely there, you know that when you make a boundary between you and somebody who's ill, if you let them push the boundary toward you, the boundary doesn't move. It disappears. Right. And that's what families don't know. That's what I want to save you some time. If I work with a group, if I work with a bunch of vets at a VA hospital who are malnourished and poorly treated because we want to spend the money to get you to fight, but we don't have the money to get you to live well after you've done the fighting. I work with all these people on a regular basis, pro bono, because jails, prisons, rehab shelters, detoxes, a lot of places I live. But I want to save them some time. I don't want them to wait 5 years in an AA meeting to find out they're codependent to the core. I don't want them to wait 15 years before they find out that, part of the problem is I won't make that drop from smart to heart. I won't make that 1.5 foot elevator trip from I'm thinking, I'm knowing to I'm feeling and I'm healing. I want them to save them some time by, hey, try this. What you were doing wasn't working. Rob, when you go into a place and start to give them options, have you ever noticed how the resistance kicks up and the walls go up and they go, oh, no. If it was weed or a pill, I'd take it and go, what's that going to do? If it's healthy, we go, I'll wait.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I love this because the thing is one of the things that, my specialty in the world is supporting people out of suffering. I've suffered a lot on my own volition, and some things that were not, I'm responsible for today, but I wasn't responsible for back then. So and the thing about suffering is it disrupts our plan in the world. So we all come to this earth from heaven, wherever, and we had a plan. God has a plan for us. The universe has a plan for us, I believe. And suffering disrupts it. How did suffering disrupt it for you? What was lurking there that needed to be expressed?
The pain inside stays inside. That's where the box I live in is. I keep it in. It's what I call a shame grenade.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the kind of guy that throws grenades at people, because when a grenade goes off, who gets hurt? Everybody closest to you. So I would keep swallowing. I had a flamethrower that I would cook myself with, and that was learned or assumed, and that behavior continued until I still have that core that says,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be disruptive. I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. I'll be in a place where there's a this is part of the show, so pardon me, but addiction is the least of my worries. My problem is first thought wrong. If I do a little bit, I proved I'm not addicted. If she doesn't find out, it wasn't cheating. If I have one, I'm no longer addicted. Or it's been a while. I'm in the front of the plane, big fat seat, booze is free. I'm crossing an international boundary. I've never had a mimosa. I got sober before Zima. Give me one of those.
Right.
First thought wrong. I don't need to. I'll skip this Zoom call today. I'll skip the podcast because I'm tired. First thought wrong. If I yell, they'll hear me better. Well, turns out volume doesn't substitute for content or manhood, and loud doesn't make me more important. In fact, I don't yell at my son. He's PTSD for noise. We think it was conception. But what we get to do is do it differently. So that inner hurt becomes that outer truth. When we get to open up, we cry because we're full, or there's too much in my heart to be able to hear it beat or get the right air in my lungs. There's airbags in here that protect me in time of, they're like airbags in a car. They fill up. Oxygen leads to spiritual. No other chemicals done that for me. But if I got pain and hurt and blame, and you use the word through my own volition, most of my wounds on this planet are self-inflicted. So if I stop hurting myself, there's less chance you can do it. So I want people to dump their trash. I don't spill it on you. You don't have to clean mine up. But it's like a porta potty, treatment center, a group. The sessions you're going to do with clients, it's a porta potty. Dump your stuff and go. That's what that thing is. Now, your practice, your professional practice is nowhere near a porta potty. I'm not trying to be cruel.
Oh, yeah.
Let's dump the toxic, leave it there. Somebody will come pick it up. Maybe the universe, maybe God, maybe her, whoever it is. I don't have to carry it around today. And if I'm weighted down, there's less levity. Now, gravity says if I'm lighter, I'm funnier. But it comes from a place of pain. Nothing in life is truly funny till it hurt first. Nothing. So you use the word suffering. What if you don't know you're suffering? What if you call that growing up in that house? I'd like to shine a light on some of that for some people that say, hey, wait, I do have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. I do have a reason. The best I could do, loaded, drunk, under the influence, is suicide on layaway. I don't want any more of that.
Yeah.
How's COVID affected you, Mark? Not only your performances, but the people you see, and you yourself. I mean, we all know that when we step off the stage, for me anyway, that dull gut feeling, that depression dip is like, how's it been for you?
It was frightening in the beginning, and now it's more of just a dull backache. I mean, we get used to pain super quick. Unless we're in recovery, then we're selective. I'll withstand years of physical abuse, chemical abuse, heroin for a long time. But when I'm new in recovery in a treatment center and early in therapy, you can hurt my feelings with an idea. So that COVID thing it's a force of nature. And it's the scary thing as a recovery person is relapse is a cancer as well. There's 4 stages: isolate, separate, medicate, repeat. And isolate is mandated now because of the COVID thing. So you're already in stage 1 relapse if you're a recovery person. by law, separated sometimes by law or suggestion or health code, right? CDC says maintain a distance. Well, I'm an abused kid. My dad was a rapist, so my 6 feet away game has been strong for a long time. So I get to make a living doing what I was made. But the COVID thing, financially, it's just crushed. It'll take me 2 years to even come close to getting back what I've lost financially. But financial doesn't get me out of bed in the morning. I mean, I'm at a point where, honest to God, some days, you ever wish somebody would steal your identity?
Fuck yeah.
My credit would go up 17 points just because
Right.
that guy took it. Right?
Well, hey, listen, hey, Mark, somebody stole my American Express card about 2 weeks ago, but I've not reported it because they're spending less than the fucking wife. So I'm going to leave it there for a bit, you know?
Listen, somebody said, "What's your IQ?" I said, "Well, I know it's high because smart people stay addicted longer. Shortcut: high IQ equals much lower bottom as a substance abuser. I'm so smart I can't get help. I'm so smart I can't ask a question. The disk is so full I won't add new information." But the COVID thing is a constant reminder of. I think it's like a magnifying glass, to be honest. The stuff that you see every day has always been there in this country. It's just COVID's a magnifying glass. And if you're a shiny, well-developed person, that's how you look right now. If you're an impetuous child or an immature, ignorant bigot, it's really glaringly apparent. So COVID has done some things that are. I wrote a book. That's out this month. I wrote a book. I've got 3 new products on the market. I'm not banging my chest, but this time has been useful. I've been in the studio. When I leave you today, I'm driving up to Sacramento from San Jose, California, and I'm going to film the promos for a national group I'm doing. I got a TEDx Naperville thing that's happening this month. All kinds of stuff from being locked up. But when I was in jail, I did that. When I was in jail, I did push-ups. I read, right? When I was in prison, I walked a yard. I learned things from old savvy dogs who couldn't leave the prison, but I knew I got a chance to leave and didn't want to go back. COVID is a teacher, but it's still frightening to me because my kids got to grow up in this and that codependent layer that Jennifer and I both share. I'm sure, Rob, there's some codependent in you. I don't know anybody who's been a substance abuser or in the family of cancer that didn't have a severe twisted spine when it comes to, God, I don't want anybody upset.
Right. COVID
is a teacher, but it's also this big, huge force of nature that's coming. You know, that tsunami of, man, if you don't prepare, it's going to wash you away.
Yeah, it is. Congratulations on your, I've got some sun in my eyes here. Congratulations on your book. Congratulations on all the stuff that you're doing. I know you don't need it, but one of the things that Rob and I believe in is that, especially in the addiction world or the sick the mentally hurt world, we don't acknowledge each other enough. We don't, Mark, when people are doing well in the world, like good things in the world, we don't tell them all the time. So really what I want to say is, like, I'm a better person for having called you and had that conversation. Truly.
Stop. You see that then? You see what Mark did? I don't know whether you're aware of that, but that's one of the things we do. When we compliment, you laugh and sort of brush it off. But, Mark, I'm telling you, we're serious. Like, man, I've looked at what you do, man. You've not only saved hundreds of thousands of lives, but you bring humor and peace and just humility and reach people that nobody else can, man. And you are absolutely an amazing guy.
I appreciate you saying that. And I get a little teary there because that's hard to hear. If you look in the rearview mirror, that's a foreign language to a guy like me. So I appreciate what you said, and what you saw me do there, and I do this too, is when you started to say something nice, Jennifer, I go, those are words. Those are words that aren't coming out. Yeah, but it's okay. Here's the humility part. No, I don't save people. I show them they can save themselves. Blah, blah, blah. That hand job answer I would give somebody that was PCPG. But yeah, it's hard for me to hear that, and I'll be honest with you. But because I can't accept some of that, because the addict in me says, if you're doing that, now there's pressure to keep doing that. Don't fuck up.
Hand job answer. I love that. Let me write that down. Listen,
take it away.
I spent a lot of time in the car business before I got into coaching and addiction world. And so one of the things that we used to say is like, let's not jack each other off here. Right. You know, and right. And so I don't say things unless I mean them. And so I felt like I had talked to a long lost friend when you and I talked on the phone. Like I was like, I need to spend time with this person. Like he needs to be on my speed dial, and I want to talk to. Like it was really from my heart. I was moved by you. So thank you.
Well, you and I can't fool each other for very long if we tried, which we didn't. But there was some conversation there. I'm a fan of, hey, let's just say it because it's true, at least for now, and we can massage it later or apologize for it. Certainly, if you're a 12-step person, 10-step is like an eraser. What did I do? How can I fix it? Right? There's two parts to an amends. But I didn't have to. It wasn't political. I wasn't auditioning for a job. You weren't trying to hear my resume. We were talking about children. We were talking about kids. We were talking about the best we can do sometimes is not rub the shine off those angels. And sometimes what we do is a poor job. One quick story, if you got time. My sponsor, early on, I called my sponsor. I'm a 12-step guy. I'm not here to pimp for any program. I don't recruit, right? But I called my sponsor early on, and I was petrified. I had a 3-year-old son. The marriage was already kind of right, because I don't choose well. I choose borderline personality, guns in the glove box, meds on the front seat, ain't got her name on one bottle. Sex on the first date at Thanksgiving in her mom's garage. That's a keeper for me, right? Borderline personality. That's interesting until Wednesday. So we're married, and I called my sponsor and said, dude, I need your help. My boy, I don't want to fuck him up. And the sage old advice I got from my sponsor was clean forever. He said, oh, you'll fuck him up. That's what we do. We fuck up the kid. Here's the deal. You don't do it today, and you try not to do it a lot when you're doing it. Throttle down. But you're going to fuck up your kids. And I can't tell you how many times that's true, because I've made a mistake, because I've overdone or underdone or something. So that perfection thing, it's not even an idea in my house. It's principles before personalities. It's tell the truth and see where it lands. It's I'm not going to hurt his feelings. I'm going to help his future. Because there's some issues. Let me save him some time. Yeah. I don't want him wondering how to emote, not talk about sad or hurt, so that he has to leave the house with my foot in his ass at 20-something years old with a bag and 20 pounds.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we've run out of time rapidly. We've both got hard stops. 3 quick fire questions for you, Mark. What car do you drive? What car do you drive? Favorite movie? And who's your idol?
I drive a Jeep. My favorite movie is The Usual Suspects. And what was the third question?
Who's your idol?
My idol. My idol was my grandfather. Funniest man I ever met. Not a professional comedian. He just was an old salty dog. How do you stay married 57 years? He goes, you don't die. He died of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. He would say, sometimes I forget to shake. Ha!
Guys, absolutely amazing, guys. Listen, Mark was on the show. Absolutely. Listen, just quickly before you go, guys, I'm going to put his website on one more time. Stick around, guys. Thank you so much for being on, Mark, and thank you again. And we'll see you. We'll see you real soon, guys. Hang around. We'll be right with this.
Anything I can do.
Hey guys, welcome back. Breaking Through Addiction, or the Addiction Doctor if you just joined us. Wow, that was awesome. Absolutely.
That was fun.
The time like click, 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 click. And I know we both got patients at the top of the hour, so I didn't want to finish. I think I cut Mark off. My apologies, Mark. Don't forget the website. I'm still going to leave it on, guys. I'm not going to put our thing on. It's worth visiting. A funny guy, an emotional guy, a guy that I want to listen to. It's a no bullshit. Let me tell you what it's all about before you know what it's all about. He's probably got more complaints than fucking Bill Cosby, but at the end of the day, the message drives home. I like him. I really like him. He's a good guy.
Totally. I'm not kidding you. Our conversation on the phone was just like, boom. I was like, this is my kind of guy. And you know, the truth is we need more people like Mark in the world. We need more people like that during this pandemic. We need more people like that in the world of addiction, right? We do. We need people that says it like it is. We're all in pain and we need to admit that.
Sugarcoating stuff kills people.
It does.
That's why we invented the show and continued the show. It's just like, you know, let's talk about the real problem and let's get to the point. You know, let's not fluff around for 2 months and hope you're going to survive if you're a 12-step guy, let's do a step a month and all that shit. It's like, if you don't get well, you will die, you know, and it's a family illness, but it's a family recovery. And let's not tell little Johnny there. Would you like a cup of coffee? Could you relapse? How about telling little Johnny, why don't you get fucking well and do the same thing that got me to a different place before you kill yourself, and the rest of your family will have to live like that for the rest of their lives. It's like a serious condition. Let's get there. You know, It's just for me. I don't think sat down teaching, you know, on a 6-month rehab it doesn't cut it for me. I need a bang, 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 bang. My guy that as you probably know, that taught me everything was a son of an ex-mob boss in London. You know, and I remember once giving him £20. I said, Tony, take this £20 in case I buy beer with it. And he punched me across the face. And as I'm getting off the floor, he looked down at me and said, don't you ever do that again. What are you, a man or a mouse? And that's just the way I was brought up. You know, I just love it. I love it. I love Mark. Thank you so much for getting him on, Jennifer. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Guys, we'll be back in 1 hour. This is how we roll. We've got a patient after this, each separately. And then we're going to be back at the top of the hour with the attorney. Is unbelievable. This guy is a good friend of mine. I met him last month for the first time. An English guy, so do be careful. 2 English guys were taking over, but he specializes in the Marchment Act. You know, he can get you out in hours where it takes other people weeks. He's phenomenal what he does. So looking forward to that. Again, guys, wholehearted.org. Jump on there, support Mark. He's a good guy. He reminds me of a best friend of mine in England called Mike Skirker, who passed some years ago, but he just looks like him. He's in your face. And he looks like Mike Skirker's this guy that you look at him, you think, oh, he's nothing. It's like a 7th dan in karate. He could kick anybody's ass and just, but he looks very pleasant and nice. And, you know, he's got this doorman suit on. And I saw him kick off one night. And I scared the shit out of me. He's so quick and fast. Guys, this is The Addiction Doctor. My name is Rob Kelly, The Addiction Doctor, with Jennifer Lovely. We will join back again in about 1 hour and 5 minutes. Stick around, guys. It's awesome to have you. And for now, be good to yourself, guys.
Bye.